Ni hao. As a matter of fact, ni hao ma. I really appreciate the chance to talk to you today. I bring greetings on behalf of the chairman, Madam Chair, Garvey, and the board of Arlington County and the county manager. I feel like I'm very blessed to be able to even speak on this topic, and I hope that you get some ideas about how you go about building these bridges. So let me begin with this.
Prime Minister, our two peoples tonight hold the future of the world in our hands.
And as we think of that future, we are dedicated to the principle where we can build the bridge between us, generations and the years ahead will look back and thank us for this meeting that we have held this past week.
And let the great Chinese people and the great American people be worthy of the hopes and ideals of the world for peace and justice and progress for all.
It was the summer of 1995 when I made my first trip to China with Xiaoning, who at that time was directing our Sister Cities program at the state of Maryland. It had been a generation since President Nixon, Chairman Mao, and many other Chinese and American leaders met to discuss the future of our two great nations. I was serving as the Assistant Secretary of Economic Development for the state of Maryland, and the governor and the Secretary of the Department asked me to be their emissary. The emissary on a mission. The mission in 1995 was to pave a way for moving our sister state relationship between Anhui Province and the state of Maryland into an economic cooperation relationship. This photo documents the signing of the first economic agreement. It was a moment that would change my life forever. What I would like you to understand is that this may be your moment. These moments, these opportunities are given to us all. And to whom much is given, much is required. Today my goal is threefold. One, I'd like to describe to you how I've been part of my life building bridges between the United States and China. My hope is that it inspires you to continue the legacy of building relationships on various levels: personal, intergovernmental, private. Second, I'd like to provide you with specific advice on how, from your current position as a student, as a young professional, you can take action yourself to change your destiny and the destiny of our nations. And third, I'd like to help you realize it is important for you to maintain and to grow these relationships that are based on sincere trust, based on honesty, based on honor. The honor of the people that you work with and the people that you relate to so that they can endure the test of time. It is said we must give honor where honor is due. Today my goal is to give past and present honor to the people that I've worked with. While on my first trade mission in China, I had the opportunity to visit Beijing, Shanghai, and Anhui. As we traveled through China, Xiaoning provided me with a tremendous economic and cultural history of China. He's a brilliant man. He was brilliant at a young age, and he was clear about his future. He received his undergraduate degree at Anhui University, and he studied at the China Foreign Affairs University. In addition, he completed his master's degree in economics at the University of at Michigan State University, and his doctorate at the University of Maryland. He had a deep understanding of the history of China and was very intentional about explaining the history and culture of his home country. The most powerful part that I experienced was going to Tiananmen Square for the first time and seeing the Great Hall for the first time. And seeing the massive amount of development that was going on that I knew absolutely nothing about. It inspired me. It made me think of the America that I knew as I was growing up, that was busting at the seams with optimism, that there was no limit to what was possible, that the world could change, that anyone could change the world. That's what I felt. And that energy really, I think I just absorbed it. And I just knew that my relationship with China was going to go on for the rest of my life. This profoundly impacted me because I was not aware of what was going on in China. It was clearly an economic transformation on a scale I'd never seen before. All I could do was absorb the tremendous amount of information and the experiences. Most of all, Xiaoning made me realize that China and U.S. were closely tied together in the future, and that the role of states and cities in building those economic connections would be invaluable. It was the destiny of our two countries. Xiao and I were working along with our Director of Business Development, met with elected officials, with university deans, with software and medical technology companies. We even worked with companies like McCormick Spice that were already resident in China and producing products. We met with real estate developers and investors, and we knew that we needed to establish an office. So we met with the Department of Commerce, and we opened the first state office in the United States, in China. We were the first state office to open. And I asked Xiaoning to run that office, and he graciously agreed. And then this photo to the left, that's Xiaoning and I standing in front of the CCTV tower. Some of you may recognize it. But what you probably don't recognize is, look at that skyline in Pudong. Look at that skyline. It's vacant. It was really just a TV tower. We stood in front of that thing. And the chief urban planner showed me the plans for the next 20 years. Basically, they built Manhattan. You were going to build Manhattan in 20 years. And I thought to myself, well, that's impossible. Then later on, you guys know the story. It was quite possible. It was impossible in the United States, but it was possible in China. I felt that the United States and Maryland's future were tied together for mutual benefit. That if we worked through the U.S. Commerce Department, that it would be a relationship that would change both of our countries. So, as you recall, in 1995, that was the first time I set foot in China. And if you look at this chart, you see it's an inflection point in the acceleration of the GDP of China. China's GDP was about 900 million in 1995. It's over 11 trillion in 2015. This type of explosive growth had never happened before. The most interesting thing was that I observed was that I actually felt like that was going to happen. I mean, I could feel the energy in the streets when I talked to people, just the optimism, just the feeling that nothing was impossible. Frankly, it just put an enthusiasm in me that I just couldn't shake. It was just amazing. And you can still feel that powerful energy, because behind those numbers are people. Behind those numbers are individuals that want to make the lives of their families better. They want to make the lives of their towns better. They want to make the lives of their cities better. They want to change the future for the better. At the same time, urbanization accelerated. Roughly 30% of the people of China lived in cities in 1995. If you think about it, now over 50% of the 1.2 billion people of China live in cities. That is a massive change. Again, on a scale never seen before in humanity. Because the United States urbanized many years ago, we have many lessons, tough lessons that we learned from. Air pollution, water pollution, etc. China is now pushing the electric vehicles, environmental controls, and accelerating in this arena. Some of this progress is being made in conjunction with U.S. companies in China. This is Xiaoning and I in Nanjing. Xiaoning and I were taking a break from a conference, an economic development conference in Nanjing, and we've been discussing the tremendous progress that he had made in the years that went between 95 and 2016. And basically, they had worked with over 1,400 universities, companies, and individuals in developing research projects for market research in China and abroad. In addition to that, they had helped invest over $900 million in foreign direct investment in the United States. I mean, to me, it was astounding. He was working with Maryland, Arizona, and now DC, of course, Michigan, Minnesota, Tennessee, and Wisconsin. He had built an entire practice out of that one little Maryland office. To say I was amazed is like an understatement. Moreover, his team was responsible for $1.5 billion in import and export sales, and they supported over 840 companies and incubated 135 U.S. companies. In this photo, you see the CCTV tower in Shanghai to the left, and the Shanghai Tower, the tallest building in Asia, to the right. This was what the planners had shown us 20 years ago. I would have never imagined that it would happen so quickly. This is due to the incredible determination of the people of China, a great nation. It is what I admire most about my friend, Xiaoning. I apologize. Sorry, I get a little emotional. It's what I admire the most about him, and what I admire the most about the people of the United States and China. I'm humbled by my relationship with Ming in establishing the Maryland office, and would have I just would never imagine we'd have such a great outcome. I just feel very blessed to have him as a friend. Actually, I wrote him the other day, and I told him that I was doing this presentation, and I asked him for some stats, and he sent me an email. You know, of course, the 12-hour difference. The next morning, I got an email, and I put up the email, and he basically said, you know, I really appreciate you, Victor. I couldn't have done this with anything but this without you. You really helped me lead the way. And you know what I told him? I said, look, Xiaoning, if I could have another brother, if the Lord would let me have another brother, it'd be you. So, that's how I feel about him. As you probably expected, after Maryland, taking Maryland to China, of course, I took DC to China. You know, I can't stop, you know. In any case, I served as an emissary for Mayor Gray to move the cultural relationship that was a 30-year-old relationship from a sister city program to a cooperative economic program. I worked with the dean of the business school. In this case, I had to do it a little differently. I worked with the dean of the business school of GW, who is a China scholar, Doug Guthrie, and also the president now of GW University, to reach out to the city of Suzhou, where GW was establishing campus. Dean Guthrie introduced me to Jin Zhang. Jin Zhang is the gentleman all the way to the right. Jin Zhang is the CEO of Shanghai Zhonghui Investment Holdings, a real estate developer. And together, we put together a workshop for potential real estate investment in DC. This was complemented by reconnecting with Xiaoning, of course, and establishing a DC office in China with Xiao and his team at the helm of helping our companies. As we always did, we connected with elected officials from Beijing, Shanghai, Suzhou, and many of them remembered me from years before, so it made it much easier. They remembered that I was an honest individual, that I did what I said, and that made a big difference in continuing the relationship. Continuing with DC, we built I had the mayor worked very closely with me in attracting investment. As you may recognize the gentleman all the way to the left, Chairman Wong of Wanda. Wanda purchased AMC theaters throughout the country, and they have $1 billion investment going in Los Angeles, and another $1 billion investment going in New York. We would have been happy with $200 million. Unfortunately, we were not able to attract Wanda. Actually, we were trying to get them to invest in Southwest Waterfront. Those are the developers of Southwest Waterfront to the right of the mayor. And as you can see, the White House in the background. But what ended up happening was one of the sites on the Southwest Waterfront project has raised $100 million in EB5 investment for construction. So we did eventually get a positive outcome from that. And in this picture to the right, that's me connecting again with the Sister States program in China, which is always critical. When you're 6,000 miles away, every chance you get to see someone, you should see them. This project is right behind the convention center. This is City Market at O Street. Working with a DC developer and EB5 investors from China, we were able to raise $250 million for 6 projects across the city, about $1 billion total investment. This project, $350 million project, had $97 million of EB5 money in it. And actually, it's really transformed the neighborhood. Because of the mayor's relationship with Governor McCullough of Virginia, we were able to craft a deal for a nonstop service from DC to Beijing, and that inaugural flight took place on June 10th, 2014. I was privileged to be part of that process. The ambassador from China, the governor, the head of Air China in North America, the president of MWA, and all of us were able to cut the ribbon together. It was a deal that had been attempted for 15 years. And because of people like Alan New, who was the city administrator, Elliot Ferguson, who heads up tourism for DC, Secretary Maurice Jones from the state of Virginia, Xiaoning, Teresa Bell-Pulsey right up here in the front row, Karima from my department in DC, we were able to do this in 6 months. So when somebody tells you something is impossible, it's actually just improbable. It's not impossible. So continuing to take people to China, this time Prince George's County, the story continues with the first EB5 investment in China to the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, you see myself, the county executive. He loves China. He loved it because they called him, when we went to Xiamen for a conference, a Pacific conference, they called him the chairman. He absolutely loved that. The chairman of Prince George's County. This is the slide of Prince George's County and DC and China all working together. This was actually during the time we were there on a trade mission related to the Pacific. Again, Xiaoning joining in as usual. This is Arlington going to China for the first time for the Dongxing competition. Dongxing competition is a global competition, and they selected Arlington, Virginia, as the center for that. And a couple of my staff people, Cindy Ye, who speaks fluent Mandarin, and Darren Stouffer, who speaks no Mandarin but speaks technology, helped us establish that relationship. This is Arlington, DC, Prince George's County, in China, working on a regional basis. This was actually at the Select USA conference. Ambassador Bacchus did his official greeting there. We were able to host over 200 investors and individuals at the Phillips collection. It was a fabulous event and continued to build our relationship. And this was Arlington working together with Virginia and Maryland and China for tourism. And actually, Teresa and Emily Cassell, who was in here, Emily, raise your hand. Emily Cassell in my office from Arlington are at the head of this. And actually, I think she's in their photo somewhere. But they went on a sales mission in the spring to Shenzhen, Chengdu, and Xi'an. And we're continuing to expand our focus on the rapidly expanding tourism market. Coming to the close, what's in the future? I think more foreign direct investment. I think it's going to accelerate. I think we're going to double what we've done in the past. Technology, innovation, and sharing. That's got to happen. EdTech, MedTech, CleanTech, it's got to happen. Tourism in DC from China has doubled 2.5 times since I was in DC in 2011. And the economic development and political relationships have to continue. So in closing, how do you become a bridge to progress? If you're a student, you can seek out an internship with a company that is involved in international trade or foreign direct investment in China. This is particularly easy for someone who speaks both English and Mandarin, which many of you do. And by the way, remember, I never did. Ni hao is it, guys. So you're in a really powerful position and you may not know that. If you're a young professional, you're already working in the field, and you find your way into an organization, you should reach out for those parts of the organization that relate to Asia or relate to China specifically. What you will find is that there are many opportunities that people haven't taken advantage of because they're either too hard or there is not enough faith. You're here on a Saturday morning, you're an exceptionally educated group of students and professionals, and I would say that hard work doesn't deter you. I would say it inspires you. I began my experience in China with one relationship, Xiaoning. It has resulted in billions in dollars in investment, thousands of jobs, and hundreds of company expansions. Young students, young professionals should look at this portion of their career as a building of a foundation, a solid, granite foundation that will endure the test of time. If it is built well, it will not only stand the test of time, but it will serve as a foundation for future generations to come. I would like to give you one bit of advice as I leave you from one of my favorite authors. Always look for the difference in an opportunity, in a moment, but especially in people. Focus they are willing to pursue, weaknesses that they are willing to confront, the mentors that they are willing to trust, and the people they are willing to honor. I saw the difference in Xiaoning, and it changed my whole life. It has made me a part of the U.S.-China bridge. Thank you, and I'm greatly honored to be here today and humbled by you taking the time to listen. Let me close with this. President Nixon said back in 1992, Mr. Prime Minister, our two people tonight hold the future of the world in our hands. And when we think of that future, we are dedicated to the principle we can build bridges between us. And generations and years ahead will look back and thank us for this meeting that took place. And let the great people of China and the great people of America be worthy of the hope, ideals of the world for peace and justice for all. 谢谢你。